Hello. Next step in your colored pencil, once you get all of your white underdrawing or your white reverse value drawing complete, is to add the color. When you are adding color, a lot of making a successful colored pencil drawing is observation and really looking deep into your references and picking out each and every color that you see and layering them up and blending them on top of each other. So I have chosen a huge gamut of colored pencils for my particular drawing here. I'm not only choosing just red and yellow and orange or green, I have chosen reds and yellows and oranges and greens, along with some blues and magentas and purples. So I looked at my reference. I really looked at the colors of colored pencils I have. I'll walk you through that stage, and then you're ready to go ahead and get started. So the way that you do colored pencil is you start with your lightest colors in a section and build them up on top of each other. I'm going to focus mainly on this petal today, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about this other section just so you can see how to do some of the different colors. But as I'm looking at this leaf, I see yellows, and I see bright yellows, I see kind of golden yellows, I also see a little hint of brown in on top of that, and obviously the green. So whenever I'm looking at my green, I have a brighter green maybe for up at the top. I have my mid-tone green that I might blend in with some of these areas, and then I have a couple of darker greens that I can work near the bottom to get some of my darker shades in. I also see a lot of dark tones in there. When I am putting those in, instead of putting black back in with my colors, I'm going to either use a darker color that's close to what I'm using, like I'm going to use navy blue in with the green to get some of those shadows, or you can use the opposite. It's called a complementary color on a color wheel. So where I have my reds, if I bump a little bit of purple in to enhance my shadows, it will make your drawing more rich than just adding black in with that pencil. So if I'm starting on this leaf, I see some yellow at the top, and I see a lot of yellow down along the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of pop on some yellow over top of what I already have drawn here. If you do a great job with your underdrawing and you get all the values where they should be, I should have had a little bit of a brighter section right in here. Watch what colors you're using. I don't know if you could just see that or not with the quality of the video, but I had a Blick white colored pencil and it did not work nearly as well as my Prismacolor. So if you choose a Prismacolor pencil, some of the ones I only have colors in Blick, but Prismacolor definitely has a softer core in them. So back to what I was saying. If you have a really awesome underdrawing, a white value drawing, you really can do your layering and your colored pencil without thinking a whole lot about your values and where everything goes. You still have to consider it a little bit, but now I see kind of a yellowish tone under my entire leaf. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay down a base of yellow under where everything goes. Definitely along this side. I switched yellows here while I was doing my white. Maybe a little less yellow in this section right here, like where my leaf is. So I'm going to leave that section blank for now, maybe a tiny little bit of yellow underneath it. What I would recommend you doing, since colored pencil is new to you and you've not done it before, I would take a tester piece of black paper with you so that you can test out some of these colors on a separate sheet of paper. Once you get them figured out and once you know how to use them, you won't have to test everything that you're doing once you get your colors layered up and figured out. But until you get that figured out and until you know the right order and combination and layering of your colors, I would recommend that you get one of those tester pieces. So my yellows are in. I'm going to move to my next darkest color, which is green. And obviously there's green over this entire leaf. So I'm honestly going to take this light green and I'm just going to basically put it everywhere. Even down into the bottom, because that's going to give me a rich quality in my drawing. Even though I'm going to put some darker greens over top of them, I'm just going to lay that base value down. And if you can tell, my leaf is already starting to look a little bit three-dimensional because of that white underdrawing. I'm literally just coloring over everything. I'm putting a medium, light to medium pressure down. Color pencil paper has what's called tooth. That's that bumpy-ish kind of texture that you are feeling. Now here I'm going to start to shade a little bit more. So I'm pushing harder where my darker greens are, and I'm pushing lighter as I work out into those yellows. But color pencil paper has tooth in it. So you can push lightly on your color pencils and it's still going to give you, still going to pull the color off fairly easily, so you don't have to push super hard. The one major thing that you have to watch for when you're shading or coloring with color pencils is that eventually, and this doesn't happen right away at all, but eventually the tooth in the paper gets covered up by the wax in your color pencil. So the harder you push, the more wax goes on the paper. And eventually, once you build up enough wax, what happens is that the paper just will not accept the color anymore in your drawing. You can come back through with your lighter colors and work back and forth to layer them up as needed, but you just have to watch so that you have your base down and your color value down before everything gets too dark. That way you don't have to worry about not being able to color on your colored pencil. So as you can see, I'm just working from light to dark and I'm layering up my colors and I'm starting to kind of get what I want to see. I'm noticing that this green that I'm coloring with right now is really super dark and it's going on really easily, so I'm backing off on the pressure a little bit with that. I'm not pushing as hard when I'm coloring with it so that the color's still going on there, but number one, I can see what I've already done below, and so that it doesn't overtake everything, and that will also help with that wax buildup that I was just talking about. So I'm going to keep layering. Yep, there's my brighter green that I need to make this look right. Now this side of my petal right here is still a little bit yellow, but I'm purposefully leaving it out yellow because what I want to do is very lightly, I'll pop some of this mid-tone green on it, but then I want to come in with my browns and back in with my sandy gray colors, and that's going to tone my leaf down, and it's also going to pull in some of those areas that I'm seeing. So that brown, I only have to push very, very lightly with that. So start with a light pressure when you are coloring with your color pencils and work up from there. You'll know once you start to put them down how hard you have to push with these. Like I said, with a lot of them, you barely have to push at all, and you're still going to get the colors that you want there, but you're going to be able to see everything through it. And then I can start just kind of mixing with my other colors. If I bring my lighter colors back over top, I can push harder now, and it's called burnishing. You can push hard and you can kind of actually blend the layers of colored pencil that are underneath your drawing. Some of you will burnish everything by the time you're done, and some of you really won't burnish much of anything. This side of my leaf looks a little bit yellow to me, so I'm going to add, I need to do a little bit darker green. I don't want to go too dark because I do want that yellow to show through, but I need to tone it down just a little tiny bit. So once you get your base in, I can help you figure out what else you need to do to tone down your drawing. I'm going to come in with some of my navies to accentuate some of these darker areas that I need, and as you can see, I'm getting the shadow effect that I need on my leaf without it looking blue, and it also has a nice, rich, warm quality within the drawing. when you're doing your other sections of your paper, that still needs a little bit more work, but I'm just going to keep layering and blending with the colors that I've already used there. You can work back into your lighter areas then and come back and forth between the darks and the lights to get whatever tones and qualities you need within your drawing. When you're doing other colors, it's the same thing. So over here, I would start with a layer of yellow. Underneath, I would actually do my entire petal. I'm going to go quickly on this side because hopefully you get the major gist right now of what's going on. So I'm going to lay yellow over everything because even down in these reds and oranges, I can see kind of a yellowish undertone within them. So I'm going to lay yellow down over the whole thing, and then I'm going to start layering and working up with my colors. Once you get layered so far, I can see a specific direction within this petal. So once I get my bases down, then I would actually start to color in the direction that my references go, and that will help things look three-dimensional for you, and it will also help to blend your drawings and make them look a little bit more realistic. So direction does matter, especially if you are doing an animal and you're trying to layer up hair or fur of any kind. So this orange, I don't want to put too much of this orange on top here. It's pulling a little bit too orange once I bring it actually onto my paper. That's another reason it's good to do a tester first, so you know exactly what these are going to look like and with how much pressure you need on your pencil once you start to shade in your good copies. I don't need as much orange on this bottom part because it's really going to go red. So now I'm going to work in with my reds and my purples, maybe even some pinks in a few of these areas just to give it a brighter tone and a brighter quality. And then I'll start working and pushing a little bit harder with those reds under it. I do want this to look red, but had I not put orange and yellow under it first, it wouldn't have the same red, orange, yellow tones that I want to achieve within my drawings. And again, if you need to add some shadows right along this vein, there's a nice dark shadow. So instead of trying to use black for that, I'm going to actually put a little bit of purple and or navy blue, and that will shadow everything down. If it starts to look a little bit too purple and you just want the shadowed effect, go back in with the other color, whatever brighter color you're using, and go right back over top of it, and it will tone down the purple or the blue or whatever you're using and just make that section look like it's nice and rich and shadowed down within your tones. Again, that area needs some more work as well, but I'm going to let you go now and start on your own drawings. Keep your pencil lines close together, pencil control. The harder you push, the darker your colors go on. Start lightly until you get your colors built up, and then you can start to push a little bit harder so you don't get that big wax buildup on your paper. Good luck and have fun.